reasons for this different representation, and they are that there are fewer resources and more competition on the higher level, lesser support and networks, and lack of mentors, lesser access of information. Because of lack of networks, you are less likely to be nominated for positions to which you require to be nominated. You cannot self-nominate. And in addition, women have a different communication style, lesser assertiveness, lower confidence. Lower confidence is something which is documented by many studies in psychology, that women typically tend to have lower self-confidence. And self-confidence is directly correlated with success in your career. So there is one major factor which kind of prevents women from progressing at the equal pace. And of course, the whole other part of the problem is that other things become priorities for women as they age. Building a family, having kids, elderly parents later on, caring for elderly parents become very important. And usually women take these roles of caregivers. So it seems that independently of where you are, which country, and what is the situation, the starting statistics, at student level in the country, the problems are the same everywhere. So one way, of course, to deal with these problems is to try to change the system. But this takes very long. And institutional change is something which I think the European community takes very seriously, and there are a lot of measures they're taking. Similarly, in Canada, their universities are kind of encouraged to do something to improve the atmosphere and the way excellence is evaluated. That doesn't mean to diminish the importance of high qualification and of excellent achievements, but there are differences. It's how you measure achievements. For example, publication count is not always the best measure, because you can slice the salami as thin as you want, and if you're well established already, your chance of publishing is quite good, even in quite thin slice of a paper. So perhaps an impact factor is a better technique to measure. So such things are very debatable, of course, and they are debated, and I think some progress is being made. However, what we can do to immediately help ourselves is to share, to discuss, to help each other. We can learn a lot from each other, from experience, how to handle conflict, for example, how to behave in competitive situation, how to bounce after failure, and so on and so on and so on. And because there are so few women, especially the higher you grow in the ranks, I think the only possibility is to go virtual, to use the web and communities which now the web offers for this purpose. So here I will discuss briefly different ways of connecting women, and I'll have a quick historical perspective on this, starting from the so-called Web 1.0 sites, like just information sites about women in particular sciences, role model sites, mailing lists, email mentoring, discussion forums, and going into more Web 2.0 kind of new trendy ways of connecting through blogs and social networking. Information sites are the oldest kind of form of connecting women, and usually they are based at a professional organization. There are many such organizations, like for example, in Canada, Alberta, the province of Alberta, has a very active Women in Science network. Professional societies in physics, chemistry, mathematics have websites for women where they offer information about events, sponsorships, or scholarships. Also, some advice, FAQ, sometimes featuring successful women as role models. Here is an example, women in chemistry, and featuring a particular successful chemist as a role model. Many of these websites are actually dedicated to girls, schoolgirls who are considering graduating or studying in a particular area. For role models, there are several websites which are specifically for role models. Native Access to Engineering, Inventive Women, the Role Model Project for Girls. They actually collect. You can volunteer to be a role model and talk about yourself, give you data about yourself, even record a video talking about your life, and so on. So these are, again, mostly for girls who are considering a career. Mailing list is probably also one of the oldest form of connecting. Sisters, for example, is the largest email community of technical women in computing. It is in the United States, but it's based in the United States, but they claim that it's the world largest. They have 2,500 professional women from 25 countries, and they have evolved into a society, Anita Borg Society or Anita Borg Institute, which collects a lot of sponsor money, organizes a conference, the Grace Hopper celebration, sponsors students to go and attend this conference, to network, to get a boost in self-confidence, and find potential contacts for jobs. High-tech companies sponsor generously these events because they all want to have women. Another one, a UK-based DAFNet, which I found on the web. And maybe there are others which I don't know even about. Mentoring. Based on email websites, mentornets have evolved, and the mentornet is the largest. Again, it's US-based, and it pairs successful women with students. So it's a one-on-one email-based mentorship, and mentees who have graduated through the program consider this a really crucial thing in the success in their career. Cyber Mentor is a Canadian one, which was started in the University of Calgary. Again, it's email-based, but it's not for students. It's for high school girls who are considering careers in science and engineering. Discussion forums, again, you all know there. Here is, for example, MentorNet has a discussion forum. There are others where particular topics can be discussed. Of course, it's not always very easy to find a relevant topic. So many new topics are started, so it kind of gets scattered a little bit, the discussion. Nevertheless, one can find, if one has the patience to search, one can find a lot of very useful advice and personal experience shared in these forums. So far, we discussed Web 1.0, kind of a little bit old-fashioned applications. Like a newspaper, most of these sites require maintenance, administration. So if there is no frequent participation, they go stale very quickly. Mailing lists often go defunct, apart from these very big ones which survived. Many get started and then kind of die out afterwards. Or people just treat them as spam, especially if somebody starts using them for sending not very interesting information. And they're quite expensive to maintain, really. They're quite costly. And since most of the grassroots